in YouTube land. This is Morris, man. And as always, thank you for viewing my channel. Today I'm going to kind of touch on a topic of, I guess, controversy. And that's the Illuminati. And the reason why I'm going to do this video today is I've been a part of the music industry for over 20 years in the capacity of studio musician, traveling musician, producer, promoter, you name it, artist, done it all. And I had a young guy come up to me the other day and recognize some of the videos I did and, you know, thank me for putting them out there, and I appreciate him for viewing. And we got into this conversation about the music industry, and he mentioned the Illuminati and how the Illuminati killed Tupac, which to me is kind of ridiculous. I mean, do a secret society by the name of the Illuminati exist? Absolutely. It's been documented that over the course of, you know, mankind, there has been secret societies. And the Illuminati is one of many. So I can't dispute that. And I kind of want to touch on some comments that were made by Professor Griff. Now, before I say that, I'm going to say this. I respect that brother. I love him. He's doing some tremendous work in the black community as far as enlightening us on things that we need to be aware of. But by the same token, I do believe that we have to be very conscious of the things that we say and absolutely try to make sure that what we say is fact as opposed to just kind of far-fetched assumption. And there was a couple of comments that he made that I'm kind of going to break down. And it goes something like this. According to the Illuminati, they do what's called blood sacrifices, meaning that they sacrifice somebody in their circle to advance within that organization. And according to Professor Griff, Suge Knight sacrificed Tupac. Now let me kind of touch on that. Tupac was murdered right next to Suge Knight. Now you can do your own research. There has never been absolutely not one case in this country as far as someone hiring someone to kill someone and they standing next to them when they killed that person. The chance of that is almost zero because, you know, bullets don't have eyes, and I don't think Suge Knight would have put himself in the line of fire. Even the law enforcement industry community look at that theory as nonsense. But there are a very small percentage of law enforcement officers that do believe that Suge Knight set him up, which is absolutely ridiculous. Because again, I don't know anybody that's going to stand next to the guy that you had someone else hired to kill. That's just nonsense. Here's a story that I want to share quickly. And I'm sharing this story as an example of the power of suggestion and why we need to be very conscious and very responsible in the things that we say to the masses that might not be true. Back in the 70s, now forgive me if I get this gentleman's, well, I won't say gentleman, but if I get this individual name wrong, I believe his name was Jack Jones. Back in the 70s, Jack Jones convinced a bunch of black people, hundreds of them, to sell their property, quit their jobs, and take a pilgrimage over to in Africa. I believe it was, I forgot the location in Africa, but forgive me for not having all the information. But he convinced these black people to go over there to Africa based on a pack of lies, religious lies. And that's usually the quickest way to get people, tell them some stuff about biblical stuff that ain't true, because we all want to believe what we've been told when it comes to the Bible, because it's like, who would lie about that? Would answer that question a whole bunch of people for selfish reasons. And Jack Jones did that. And he convinced these people to go over there and live there. I'm still trying to remember the location, but I can't. I think it was, I forgot. But anyway, so when he get over there, this guy was doing all types of hideous things. He was having sex with their underage kids. And of course, these people were trying to protect their kids, and other members of that particular group actually beat these people and allowed Jack Jones to do whatever he wanted to do. And during the time that Jack Jones was doing his thing, the government was kind of keeping an eye on him because they kind of knew he was shaky, you know, or shady. So they were closing in on him, and he realized that they were closing in on him, and he convinced all these black people, or majority of them, to drink Kool-Aid that was laced with cyanide. Now, think about that. One individual had that kind of control over a group of people to have them commit suicide. This is a really good story as far as the example of power of suggestion. And there's some people that will believe the most ridiculous things that you tell them. And that's why, again, we have to be very careful with the information that we share to the masses, because you or I would probably not went over there and followed this fool. But there's some people that would do that, that still walk around today that will follow some religious nuts or any other kind of nut. I'm not picking on religion, but there's some people out there that are just that gullible, uninformed. So again, we have to be very careful about the information that we provide to the masses, because there might be one or two people out there that really believe some of the things that were said and they're not true. One other quick example, and this is kind of a lighthearted one. I think it was back in the 60s, Orson Welles, I think it was actually maybe 50s, maybe even 40s, but anyway, Orson Welles put together a radio show, and that radio show was called War of the Worlds. And in the radio show, he was saying that we were being invaded by space aliens. Now, this was just a radio show. He wasn't trying to, say that this was real, but people that tuned in and kind of tuned in the middle, they actually believed that we were being invaded. And the things that these people were doing, they were packing up and trying to leave the city, and they were all in the pandemonium state of mind, and just based on a radio program, and I do believe it was kind of a marketing thing that he deliberately did this to get this reaction, but that's just my opinion, but I think that that's what took place. But that's just another example of information that gets out and people take it seriously and they react in the manner that they've taken it. So again, we have to be very conscious about the information that we share out there, because somebody might take it and run with it in the wrong way, in the wrong direction, and bad things may happen. So okay, another example as far as Professor Griff believing the theory that Kanye West sacrificed his mom. Think about that. I mean, we just kind of have to sometimes use common sense. Kanye West's mother passed away from complications to breast enhancement. She came down with an infection after operation. So how could Kanye West have anything to do with that? I mean, did he hire the doctors to come in and botch it? I mean, just that one alone just doesn't make any sense. I mean, it's been documented that Kanye West's mother passed away from complications from breast enhancement surgery. She wasn't found dead in the bathtub or in the car under suspicious circumstances. So we have to kind of be careful about the things that we say, because it affects people in a way that they sometimes believe some of the stuff that's being told that's just not true. Another one on that line, Damian Dane sacrificed Aaliyah. Again, it's been documented that Aaliyah passed away in a plane crash, and the fault of the cause of the plane crash was extra cargo in a small plane. And then you have to remember, not only Aaliyah passed away in that unfortunate incident, also the pilot died. Also the other members of the crew. So were they all part of some type of sacrifice? It's just really ridiculous to me. And again, we have to be very conscious of the things that we say that get out to the masses. Now again, I do believe that there is a secret society called the Illuminati. But as far as the sacrifices, they just don't connect. I'm going to try to give you another one. Let me see, we did Kanye West, we did Aaliyah. There was another one that right now is just not coming to mind. But I think you get the point as far as what I'm trying to make there. It's just absolutely impossible to tie in someone sacrificing someone when we know the circumstances around that person's death. And again, Kanye West's mother passed away from complications from breast enhancement surgery. It had nothing to do with nobody, sacrificing her or doing her in or anything. It's just really ridiculous. So again, we have to be very conscious of the things that we say to get out to the masses, where we are not 100% sure that those things are accurate, because those examples I gave you, it's been documented how these people passed away. They were not sacrificed. You know, no one did them in deliberately. I think the other one that I was thinking of was Jennifer Hudson. It was claimed by Professor Griff that her family was the sacrifice and how they died. That's also ridiculous. I mean, it's been, well, the court case is still pending or ongoing, but it's believed that Jennifer Hudson's brother-in-law murdered the family members out of jealousy, envy, a ransom situation that went bad. So those unfortunate incidents can't be tied in with a secret society that's asking these members to sacrifice family members. I mean, again, we just kind of have to use sometimes common sense to say, does this make sense? Now, not always things that don't make sense are not true, you know, but think about that. Again, the Tupac thing, you know, I don't know anybody that's going to hire a guy to kill another guy, sit next to that guy. It's just, it doesn't happen. I mean, it just doesn't happen. And, you know, again, we have to be responsible in the way that we deliver information. Because this video is not to knock Professor Griff, because I think he's an intelligent brother. You know, he's doing some wonderful things. But sometimes you have to kind of, I guess, the term or the word I want to use is kind of call out to say, hey, wait a minute, back that up. And let's kind of analyze that statement that you made, because it's not jiving, you know. And those sacrifices are not jiving. Because again, and I'm not trying to sound like being repetitious here, but again, Kanye West's mother died of complications. Aaliyah died on the plane crash. The Tupac thing, this is just my theory, and I'm going to throw it out there. I believe that the incident that took place at the MGM lobby with the, you know, the opposing gang members, or the gang members, because Tupac was not affiliated with any gang, so I want to make that clear. But I think it had to do with gang-related incident. I don't think that Suge Knight hired anybody, you know, and staged this, because here's the other issue about that. People think that Suge Knight did it because Tupac was about to leave his label and he didn't want him to leave. I'm going to expound on that, because again, I've been in the music industry for 20-some years. That's the norm. I mean, just like with baseball, and I'm going to use this example at first, most athletes do not spend their entire career with one team. They move around. And the reason why they move around, for many reasons, and one of them is more money. When you produce more than you are expected and you want to be paid for that, and when you go back for contract negotiations and they feel that they don't want to give you any more money, you shop your services to other teams. And that's just normal. Same thing with the music industry. Normally when you get into the industry, you get a crappy deal. You know, you're the new person and they're not going to give you too much money, so therefore they are going to give you the worst deal that they can give you that you will accept and hope that you're going to be happy. But when you go out there and start selling millions of records and they don't want to up the ante on your talent and pay you, you leave. Once your contract is over, you try to first negotiate to get a bigger deal. If that doesn't work, you shop yourself somewhere else. That's just the norm. I mean, and that's what Tupac was doing. You know, he got a crappy deal from Suge Knight, and of course, it was obvious that he was worth more than he was getting on his label. So he was going to, I believe, start his own label. So that whole thing about Suge Knight, you know, he's mad that he's leaving and he's going to kill him, that just doesn't wash. Because again, if you know the industry like I do, that's the norm. It was nothing abnormal or weird about Tupac wanting to leave. Artists do that every day of the week, and they have a contract that they sign, and they have to honor that contract before they can leave. Now, some of them will just go ahead and do their own thing and say, hey, forget that contract, but then they get brought into court and they get sued, because you have to honor what you've signed. You know, you got to be careful about what you sign, because it becomes a legal binding document that you have to obey by. You know, and if you don't, the person that, you know, a part of that can take you to court and sue you, you know, because you did not follow up or, you know, deliver what you agreed to by your signature to do. So again, we just have to be careful about the things that we say that we can't really verify close to 100%. And again, I got nothing against Griff. I enjoy listening to that brother. He's very enlightening. He knows what he's talking about. But there are some things that we have to kind of be sure about when we put it out there, because there's some very impressionable people out there. And I think, and this is just my theory, and I'm going to close on this, we are all basically a walking database. Meaning that from the time that you are born, over the years, people tell you things, you listen, you soak it in, you believe it to be true or not true. And that's basically what we all are. We're walking databases. So we hope that the information that we do take in is accurate and it's beneficial to us as well. So again, we have to be careful about some of the things that we say in the public that most likely are not true, because it just doesn't make any sense. So on that note, I'm going to leave you guys. As always, I thank you for coming to my channel, and I'll see you guys the next time. Take care.